The following footage was recorded on Legendary unless otherwise noted. What's up guys, my name's Hokie and welcome to Hokie's School of Halo. This will be episode 1, Basic Tactics. Now, ever since Halo Combat Evolved launched back in 2001, Halo's had a special combat system to complement its devastatingly hard Legendary difficulty. The problem is, Halo's tutorial section is pretty limited. Really, all it teaches you is your basic controls and your basic HUD. It teaches you that you've got a shield meter and that it recharges. That's about it. Now, you figure out pretty quickly that when you take fire, your shield goes down, and when it goes down completely, then you start to lose your health. But what it doesn't teach you is how to prevent taking fire in the first place. Bungie leaves that for you to figure out on your own. But because a lot of people never do, they just discard the game as an ordinary run-of-the-mill sci-fi shooter, and they move on to a particular video game juggernaut that shall remain unnamed, that has a much simpler combat system that they can actually figure out. Now, in this episode, I hope to teach you 3 basic tactics that are absolutely essential to your survival on Legendary. They are using cover, using headshots, and using weapon combos. So, let's start with the first one, using cover. This is me playing through the beginning encounter of the Halo mission from Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, and I'm playing on easy, and this is probably what a lot of new players to the game did when they first pick up the game, is that they kind of just spray and pray with the assault rifle and mop everything up with a few melee attacks, and for the most part that is effective on easy and normal. Now let's bump the difficulty up to normal and use the same strategy of mindlessly running in with the assault rifle. You can see the enemies here are taking a few more bullets to go down. They're a little bit smarter. This elite's giving me some problems. But for the most part, you can take some health damage and power through it. Now let's bump the difficulty up again. This time we're on Heroic, and you see that this strategy of mindlessly running in with the assault rifle is not effective at all. You just get killed too quickly. And just to prove my point, this is that same strategy on Legendary. As you can see, not effective in the slightest. So what can we do to change that? Well, there's a couple things. The first thing we're going to start with is using cover. And what that means is that you put a physical barrier between you and whatever's trying to shoot at you. Now, the meaning behind using cover differs profoundly from easy to normal and heroic and legendary. Because on easy and normal, it means that you can keep dishing out the pain, but you have to go hide somewhere and wait for your shield to recharge when it gets low like this. On heroic and legendary, your shield gets depleted so quickly that you can't just keep dishing out the pain and go hide, you have to fire from cover. And that's the mindset that you have to get into in order to play this game on the higher difficulties. What you can use for cover is limited only by the game's level design and your own creativity. You can use rocks, trees, and walls, and some of the more creative uses include vehicles, ceilings, and terrain. Now, the most effective cover can be really tricky to identify on your first few attempts, but that's what my legendary guides are for. Now, as you can see here, we're still getting torn up pretty badly using the assault rifle on heroic, but at least you can get through it. On Legendary, however, this simple tactic of just using cover or firing from cover isn't enough to get you through any of the encounters. So why is that? Well, the answer is that on Legendary, enemies are smarter, tougher, more accurate, and deal more damage, so your shield goes down long before you get close enough to use this assault rifle. What you'll find happens on Legendary is that enemies will suppress you in whatever piece of cover you choose, and in the little bit of time that you have to stick your head out and shoot at the enemies before your shields get depleted completely, you won't be accomplishing anything. You won't kill them, and if you damage the elite, his shield's just going to recharge. So that brings us to basic tactic number 2, using headshots. Now, it's no secret that the enemies on Legendary take a lot of bullets to go down, as you can see in this clip where it's taking me 4 shots to kill a grunt when I'm unable to shoot him in the head. Now that may not sound like much going up against an individual grunt, but grunts usually come in packs, so look at this clip where I'm not aiming for the head, and look at how much ammo I'm wasting. Grunts are actually surprisingly resilient on Legendary, and concerning the Halo 1 pistol at least, it takes 4 shots to kill a major and 2 shots to kill a minor if you never hit the head. Add in the inevitable missed shots, and it took me 43 shots to take out the 6 grunts in this encounter. That is simply too much ammo to be wasting on Legendary. You cannot handle all of your encounters like that. Now here's the deal with headshots. A single shot to the head of any unshielded enemy will kill it instantly so long as you're using a headshot capable weapon. Now I'll go into a lot more detail in the next episode about which weapons are headshot capable and which aren't, but for now, trust me when I say that the Halo 1 pistol is indeed headshot capable. So with that knowledge in mind, let's take a slightly different approach to this same encounter by carefully aiming for the head. Now, not only did I not lose any health, look how much less ammo I used. Instead of consuming 43 shots, I used 12. That makes a big difference. Using headshots can also help out with ranged combat as well, because you only have to land 1 shot for your enemies to go down, as opposed to 4 body shots against grunts, and even more than that against jackals and elites. This combination of being able to fight from range and being able to kill your enemies in 1 shot if you manage to hit their head means that you should try to have a headshot capable weapon on you at all times and to aim for the head as much as possible. This tactic of always aiming for the head completely transforms the game, because instead of aiming for the enemies, now you're aiming for their heads, which present a much smaller target. If you don't believe me, allow me to show you an example. Here we have a standard blue elite miner, and when you're aiming for anywhere on his body, your target is about this big. But when you're aiming for just his head, your target becomes this big. So let's return to our example on the Halo mission and see what we can do on Heroic using cover like we talked about before, and this time using pistol headshots in addition to the assault rifle. So, not only did I make it through without losing any of my health, I barely got shot at all. Now again, when we turn the difficulty up to Legendary, we're going to have a little bit more trouble because the enemies are smarter, stronger, more accurate, and more aggressive. But you can still get through it. So this is a good start. These two tactics should be enough to get you through the entire game on Heroic, but it's still not enough to get you through Legendary without some extreme frustration. This section is actually one of the easier encounters on Legendary, and this method still cost us half of our health. So this brings us to our third and final tactic, using weapon combos. Now, this last tactic only really applies to elites and sometimes to jackals, but you'll find that they give you the most problems on Heroic and Legendary. So, as you're playing through the game, you'll probably notice that elites have the same full body shielding system that you do. You should also notice that you can't damage an elite at all until you deplete his shield. And if you play on Heroic or Legendary, you'll probably also find that ballistic weaponry, such as the pistol and assault rifle, aren't terribly effective at depleting the shield. Now, there is, however, a solution, and this will come naturally to veteran Halo players, although it'll be completely missed by newer players, since the game does absolutely nothing to teach it to you. The solution is, and you can quote me on this one, plasma for the shields, bullets to the brain. Plasma-based weaponry works very well at depleting shields, but once those shields are down, it's not so effective against flesh and bone. Ballistic weaponry, on the other hand, isn't so great at depleting shields, but once they're down, it gets the job done pretty quickly. So it follows that you should use a plasma-based weapon to deplete the elite's shield, and then once it's down, switch to either a pistol or assault rifle to finish the job. You will notice, however, that there are only two plasma-based weapons in the entire game, the plasma pistol and the plasma rifle. Now, they're both great at depleting shields, but one is far and away better than the other. And that weapon is the plasma pistol. The plasma pistol certainly doesn't look like much when you first see it. It's just this little green gun that the grunts use, and that isn't terribly effective at killing anything. However, it has a secret: the overcharged shot. Now, here's the deal with the overcharged plasma pistol shot. It's actually a very similar concept to headshots. A single overcharged plasma pistol shot will completely drain the shields of elites and jackals. And once those shields are down, they're vulnerable to a single headshot. Now, in addition to its EMP effect, the plasma pistol overcharge shot also has two additional perks. The first of which is that once you release that overcharged shot, it will home in on your enemies. You don't have to have perfect aim with the plasma pistol. The second perk that the overcharged plasma pistol shot has is that it will stun the elite or jackal that you're trying to shoot. This then makes them an easy grenade stick if you're close enough, or an easy headshot before they start moving again. So, when you pair a plasma pistol with a headshot weapon such as a pistol, you get the elite combo. Now, some more skilled players might argue that the elite combo is a cheap, overpowered tactic, but the fact of the matter is, it is simply the easiest way for you to start learning how to play on Legendary. So let's return to our example on the Halo mission. And this time, I've gone and fought off the first dropship that you encounter, and I have a plasma pistol instead of an assault rifle. I'm also using the pistol to pick off grunts with headshots from range, and then I'm going to use the plasma pistol to EMP the elite's shield, and then kill him with a grenade while he's vulnerable. And there you have it. We've gotten through this encounter on Legendary without even losing a single bar of health. So, that's going to wrap things up for this episode. I hope you learned something. To recap, we've got 3 basic tactics: using cover, using headshots, and using weapon combos. And when you use those tactics, you can go from a game that plays like this to a game that plays like this. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Hokie's School of Halo, and I hope you'll join me next time for episode 2, the UNSC weapons. I'm Hokie Bird, and I'm out. See you later.